Melissa and welcome to my she shed. Today we are going to be making a shrug. You know, that jumper that you just put over your shoulders, you'll see in the photos at the beginning. And we are going to be using this beautiful acrylic yarn. It is so super soft, so comfy. I love this yarn. It's called Heartland. It is by Lionbrand, and you will need about just over 3 balls of yarn for this. We are going to be making the small size. In the photo it is a medium size, and that was just under 4 balls of yarn. I will put somewhere here down below the different sizes up to a 3XL I think I've got. So you can see that it is 142 grams, it is 230 meters, is 100% acrylic. This one is called Grand Canyon, and we will be needing a 7mm hook. But when I do my chain, I always do my chain a size up. It just makes a nice neater finish. You're not going to have a tight start, so I will be using my 8 for my chain. You will need scissors, you will need a yarn needle. You don't really need them, but if you want to measure out and just help yourself with making this project easier, then stitch markers. We do make these stitch markers ourselves, and if you are interested, just go to the website. And most importantly, you will need a tape measure. And I will tell you the measurements for this small as we go around. Okay, let's get this project started. Alrighty, so just to let you know, the sizes I will give you are just a guide. They're not hard and fast. Everybody's a different size. So there is a trick to having this work out for you and your size. So first of all, let's do that chain. Do a slip knot and put that on your hook. So remember, I go up a hook size, so this is my 8mm hook. And with this yarn and the sizes nearly, just slightly out, but it's nearly 1 stitch per a row per centimetre for this, which is really handy. So I need to make this 92 centimeters long for a small, so I'm going to chain 92 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here are my 92 stitches, and to check that this chain is long enough for the person you're making this for, wrap it around their shoulders, so around the shoulders and around the back, so it sits midway down the shoulder, like on the shoulder blades, and cross it slightly at the front, and that is going to be the size you need to do. Now you need to change your hook over to your 7mm hook. Now you've got your 7mm hook, chain 1, miss that chain you've just done, go down to the next chain, turn your work so you're not looking at the V's at the front, turn your work and go to the lump at the back. We're going to be doing half double crochets. So yarn over, go into the loop on the back, grab a yarn, pull it through, grab a yarn and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And we are repeating this in every stitch. Continue that and I will meet you at the end. Row number 1 is now finished, so we need to carry on and we need to chain 1, turn your work and continue your half double crochet with a total of 67 rows. So you've finished row 1 and now you need to do another 66 rows. This is to make it about 70 centimeters long, and then we will go through how to make it into a garment, so the sleeves, and put the decorative edging. Once the decorative edging is on, the width of the garment will end up being 84 centimeters. This is the same size length, or width I should say, that we have for every single size. Now if you feel that this is way too long, for this shrug here, the decorative edge ends up being 7 centimeters wide, but once you've folded it and everything, it ends up making it 14 centimeters wider than the body. I would suggest that you keep the decorative edge that wide, but shrink the size of the body down. So once again, if you're finding the width is too wide, or too long I should say, for your body or the body you're making it for, shrink the amount of rows that we're doing now rather than the decorative edge. And it'll make more sense when we get to that at the end, towards the end of the video. But for now, I'm going to leave you to do your 67 rows. So we've done row 1, we are now on row 2, 67 rows in total, and I will meet you back here when you have finished that. So you have finished your 67 rows. You should have a rectangle now, and we have finished off. So cut off a long tail, because that's what you're going to be sewing up one of the sides with, and bring your yarn through, tighten off. Now what you need to do is get your big square, or rectangle I should say, and fold it in half. Now make sure you folded it the way that, so the lines are going that way, not that way. Now once you have folded it in half, then what you need to do is mark the side. And you can see I've already done this here. This is going to be your armhole. Bring it over. This is going to be your armhole down here. And you need to mark out 17 centimeters from here to here. And we are going to be sewing up from here to here. Or with this yarn, I found that just counting 19 stitches on one side and exactly the same 19 stitches on the other side, put your stitch marker in so it's exactly the same row on either side, and then that actually left me with 17 centimeters down here. Now we are going to sew this part up, and this will end up being your armhole. It doesn't have to be very big because your wrist is actually going to go through there, and we're going to make a 10 centimeter panel of decorative stitch. Let's sew this part up. So just a tip, before you sew up the sides, make sure that you've got the side that you think is not the nicest on the outside. Or maybe you're a perfect crocheter and it doesn't really matter which side it is. I generally have it that the side that I've sewn in all the ends will be the inside of my garment. When I'm sewing up, that becomes the outside, and then I turn it inside out after I've finished doing all the work. So yarn on the needle, on your yarn needle, and then simply sew along that edge. And I don't do anything special, just don't make it too tight, make it as even as possible. And another tip, make sure your rows line up, because it will be noticeable when you finish. So periodically turn it so that you know that your rows are matching. It will show once the garment is finished if they're mismatched. And continue sewing up this side, and then repeat exactly the same thing on the other side, which once again it is 17 centimeters from the top of your armhole to this point here. Put in a stitch marker, or alternatively with this yarn count 19 rows, 1 2 3 4 so on, and put the stitch marker on the 19th row for either side so they're married up, so you've got it lined up and the rows aren't going to be mismatched. And then just start sewing. Once you're finished there, come back and we'll do the armholes and make the decorative sleeves. I should actually say cuffs. Now that you have sewn the sides up here, you can see how it's now getting that shrug style, and so these seams are going to go in the middle and like a triangle. And the next thing we're going to do is do the sleeve, and I've already done one here, and I'll show you how to do the other. But it's hard to get it into the camera, but it will sit like so. And we're going to do this sleeve over here together, and then the last thing to do is the band around here. So at the moment, if you put it on, it would sit like that, and we need it to come together, and we do that with the band. Alright, let's get going with the sleeve. Now we are ready to do the sleeve. You might be wondering why I've got a random stitch marker here. This is to mark the inside of the garment. So I'm working on the inside at the moment, so I want all my nice neat seams on the outside. So this just to let me know that what side I'm on. So here's the sleeve. It's just a small 10 row work, and this is using what we call griddle stitch. So let's get started on the other sleeve. Now start where your seam is. So there's your seam, and we're going to start in here. Once you have your yarn attached, chain 1, and what you will be doing is working around this sleeve hole, the armhole, and creating 31 stitches. Now where you put your stitches, the best way is to at the top of each one of these rows. So you can see clearly there that there's a row there, and if you put a stitch on each. Count as you go around, and when you finish, just make sure you've evenly put around 31. So my first stitch I'm going to put in here, half double crochet. Let's start again, yarn over, straight in, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then pull through all 3 on the hook. So around this seam bit, I'm just trying to do it as even as possible. Now you might have to, let's do that one again. You might have to wiggle and jiggle and everything around to make sure that you have your 31 stitches. If you find that 31 is too small, add more stitches. If it's too big, add less stitches, but you need an odd number of stitches. Okay, so I'm going to carry on putting in my stitches around my hole here, the armhole, and I'll meet you back when I've got my 31 stitches. Now that you have your 31 stitches, what we need to do is join the row together by a slip stitch. So put your needle in, grab a yarn, pull it through, and then pull through the loop on your hook. Chain 1, and you need to turn your work. Now for the griddle stitch, your first stitch will always be a single crochet. So hook in, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn and pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Your next stitch will be a double crochet. So yarn over, put your hook in, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 on your hook, grab your yarn and pull through the next 2 on the hook. Your next stitch will be a single crochet. Your next stitch will be a double crochet. Next stitch, single, next stitch, double. And that is the pattern for the griddle stitch. It is single crochet followed by your double crochet, single, double. And as you work around, you should always end with a single. So I'll leave you to finish that row. So remember, so double, single, double, single. I'll meet you at the end. So at the end of the row, your last stitch is going to be a single crochet. Come to your first stitch there and you're going to slip stitch together. So just put your hook in, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then pull through the loop on the hook. Chain 1, turn your work. Now as I said, your first stitch is always going to be a single crochet. Now your single crochet is going to go on top of the previous single crochet, and your double crochets are going to go on top of the previous double crochet. It is easy to tell the difference. You can see the single crochet here looks like a little V, and your double crochet here has that little loop there, and you can tell the difference between the two. I hope you can see that. So when you're doing this, that's a single crochet, and this one with that loopy bit there is a double crochet. The next one, single. Next one, you've got the loopy bit, double. Alright, so we're on row 2 now. Let you finish row 2. Show you how to join again. Turn your work to continue on, and we will be doing 10 rows of griddle stitch. Coming to the end of our second row, and at the end of the row, remember you're always finishing with a single crochet and then slip stitch the row together. Chain 1, turn your work, and repeat all over again, remembering that you always start with a single crochet and then your double crochet. Okay, so this is round 3 that we are doing now, and I'm going to leave you to finish your 10 rows. So 10 rows in total. We've already done 2, you're on round 3 now, and finish up with your 10. When you've finished your 10, meet me back here. I'll show you how to end off, and then we'll do the band around the body of the shrug. End of the 10th row, so I have, all I need to do now is slip stitch it together. There we go, and finished with the yarn for there. Snip it off, bring it through, and then simply just weave it in. So remembering I'm working on the inside, so I want to weave my end in on this side. So I want to weave it in here, keeping all my ends on the inside, which is what I'm working on. This is going to be the inside. So I just make sure that when I pull it, that it looks even on the top, and then just weaving it down. And yeah, I had to start another ball, so I've got to weave those in as well. Okay, so now it's time to start with the edge around the body. Okie dokie, so now the sleeves are done. Here are your matching sleeves, or the cuffs I should say. And we need to repeat this pattern, and you can see how pretty it comes out. It's just got a lovely texture to it. We're going to repeat this around, it's very hard to fit it in, but you can see this is going to be the body of the shrug, and we're going to do the rim around. So if you can imagine, that rim there is going to be around here. So I suggest we're going to do exactly the same thing as what we did on our cuffs, and I suggest that you start at the join here that you made. Remember again that we're working on the inside. Okay, so turn your work so that you're at one of the seams. Stick your hook in at the seam. Start your yarn however you like to start your yarn. Okay, chain one. Now this time we actually don't need to do a row of half double crochet, because if you notice, you're already at the bottom of the original body that you started off, so it already looks like you've got a row of half double crochet. So we can just go straight into doing the griddle stitch. So remember that you're always starting with a single crochet, and then the next one is your double crochet, and then the next one is your single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and continue all the way around until you get back to your seam here. And remember, you need to finish with a single crochet, and I will meet you back here when you have done that. At the end of your first row of griddle stitch around your edge of your body, remember that you need to finish off with a single crochet. Now you might look at it and think, oh, I can fit another stitch in there. I probably could, but I want to end off with a single crochet, so that is absolutely fine, because what you're going to do is now join your row together, which you've done previously with your cuffs, chain one, turn your work, and repeat. So remembering that you're always starting with your single crochet and then your double, single, double. So now we're on row 2, and I did 8 rows for my previous one, and I believe I would do 8 rows again for this one. However, try it on constantly, just to see if that is the amount of rows that you require. You might need less, you might need more, but you want to be able to bring the two edges together around your bust quite comfortably so that it's not tight. So however many rows will depend on how the bust is, and so just keep trying it on, and then keep doing your rows until it's comfortable around the bust of the person, and then that's the amount of rows that you need. So I will meet you back here after I have finished my rows, and I believe it will be 8, and I will show you how to finish off. At the end of my 8th row, so my last stitch is my single crochet, and then join my row together with a slip stitch, and I have finished that row and finished all my crocheting, so I'm just going to snip that off, pull that through, and then sewing this off, remembering to sew it off on the inside. My stitch marker tells me where my inside is, and then obviously just making sure that that is in line and it looks neat and tidy. And obviously if you've got any tails that you haven't sewn in yet, sew in all your tails. Turn your work the right way around. Bring your sleeves through. Lost the other sleeve. And way too big to fit into the camera there, but you can hopefully see the border there, and I'll take some photos. There we go. And show you what it looks like. Before I show you the photos, I just want to show you how I am going to clip this together, and I have got what's called a cape clip. And these I got from Amazon. They weren't very expensive at all. I did buy a whole bunch of them. Now there's two ways of fastening. You can sew it on from these points there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the clip on the back. So where I find it fits the best on these shrugs is just go with the line and bring it in a little bit and clip it through there. Go to the corresponding other side, come in a little bit, clip it through, and then it brings together like so, and it just finishes off the shrug so beautifully. It is lovely. You don't have to have that at all. Obviously you could do a toggle button, a big button, nothing at all, but I think this is pretty special, and I like the fact that you can move this. So if you want to move it up further or take it off completely and have no clip, that's what I love so much about these ones. They are removable, they're not a permanent fixture. Alright, let me show you those photos. Okay everyone, well I hope you have enjoyed coming on this journey with me to make this lovely shrug. If you have any questions at all, any comments or anything, please drop them below. Otherwise you can visit all my socials, Instagram, Facebook, even go to my website. I have enjoyed making this. I hope you have too, and I hope to see you here again sometime soon for the next tutorial here at the She Shed. Bye everyone!